Okay. Hi, welcome to Tales from the Sky Lounge. It's a podcast about business consulting and venture investing. We get out there in the world, we talk to people who are making it happen, and we get their stories. And this podcast episode is special dual broadcast with AI with Bry.com. Brian Deadstead. Hey, Brian, welcome back. It's been another year and a kind of crazy year. How you been? What's been going on in your world?
Yeah, Todd, thanks for having me back. This is a blast to be back. I can't believe it's been a year and we haven't done a podcast since then, really.
I know.
And gosh, so much has changed, so much is growing and going on, and I'm just excited to be back to unpack how 2025 went and look at 2026 with you. So
It's crazy, isn't it?
it
Like
it
so much.
really is.
Oh man.
I
Well, how do you want to start? You want to look at our last year's predictions here and see how we did, and then maybe kind
Yeah,
of
absolutely. I mean, I've got a burning topic to jump into, but let's maybe look through the predictions first, pull out the magic envelope, and let's see how we did last year.
okay, yeah. And then we'll get to your topic right after we kind of see how we did.
Yeah.
Of course, we used AI, to score. So, first, the things we absolutely nailed. So, I don't know if we nailed all this stuff, or it's more subtle than that. Okay, so we talked
I'm
about
gonna
the
take the win. Let's take the win.
yeah. AI trough of disillusionment. We said we're gonna hit an AI trough of disillusionment. Boy, did we ever. And then I think particularly generative AI is kind of what we're talking about here. I'm starting to call it practical AI. I know I feel like both of us are kind of like through the trough and then well up the other side. And then there's this weird haves and have nots that's happening. I don't know how you feel about that, or what you're seeing in your clients' lives.
Yeah.
But are some of them happy about generative AI? It's like there's people like, and there's certain CFOs we know and love. They're like, it's a bubble, it's horrible, it's never going to amount to anything. And then there's people that you talk to them for a few minutes and you do a demo of capabilities, and then the light bulb turns on. Usually, it's like 1 out of 8 or 10 people in a room when
Hmm.
I'm given the demo, downloads it immediately. Like, what do you mean? That's like free or $25?
Yeah.
Are you seeing the same kind of thing with that? Are we in the trough? Are we heading up the other side? Is this
It
hopeless?
definitely, yeah, it definitely depends on where you're sitting on your personal curve, I think. I do think the general society is still in the trough or
Mhm.
still heading into the trough, unfortunately. But I'm well up the other side as well. And I heard the analogy the other day about light bulbs versus the motors. Like, we have to look at all these paradigm shifts that have happened.
Mhm.
And we have been installing the AI light bulbs, the LLM light bulbs, the past 2 years, and seeing the value that it brings. And like, yeah, it's great. It's letting me work a little bit longer, get a little bit more done for every hour and stuff. But the bigger companies that are really embracing this are building these automations, these big machines, and they're rolling in the factory assembly lines that are leveraging LLM and practical AI and day-to-day stuff. And I think they've been secretly working on it for a year now. And you're going to start to see some major wins as those come out. That's going to really help us get out of that trough of disillusionment as a general mass. That's what I think. We're light
Yeah.
bulbs to motors.
Yeah. I kind of, the people that get it fast. The organizations haven't gotten it yet. From my perspective,
Hmm.
to use your manufacturing analogy, I think people are seeing power tools and going, "Ooh, I could use that drill,"
Yeah,
and then, but it's just a drill. It's just like a point solution. It's like marketing automation or proposal generation or follow up on sales proposals. Harassing people to go follow up, that kind of thing. I
yep,
think there's a huge upside once. I think we have to absorb this new change, and the rate of absorption is not as fast as I would hope, but I
that's
think we're
right.
living on the edge of tech, so maybe we're just used to a faster pace. And
Yeah, we're 1,000% used to the faster pace, but it took years for the internet to catch on. It took years for people to get rid of their arithmetic departments and close down the manual ledger books and switch to Excel. So We
Mhm.
can't expect them to go fast on that, but calculating and risk averse companies are going to get dragged kicking and screaming into this age.
So, I see a generational change here, right? So, like Copilot, for like 3 years ago, everybody was force fed Copilot, and then it's like, I don't know. I can kind of see it, maybe, and it's more annoying than useful. And then everything was kind of like Chat GPT. Everything was a chat bot for a minute, right? And then that paradigm was like, hey, customer service agents will do chatbot, buy my Delta ticket chatbot, But I think now we're starting to see agentic like truly come out where you're doing,
Hmm.
yes, it's natural language, but it's doing some really powerful things that are not necessarily language oriented, and then these
Hmm.
agentic enterprise architectures are going to become important. I don't think everybody realizes what that is, but I think for next year, maybe that's something we got to help
Yeah.
people up the curve. That's
I
the way up the trough, right?
Yeah, for sure. I've seen. I'm putting together decks that are going in and presenting this concept to companies to say like, you've got to stop development work for a month or two and build your agentic framework, and then you'll be able to go 10 times as fast. And they go 10 times, and I go, yes, if not 100 times faster.
Yeah.
So people are looking at like, this is not twice as fast. This is 10 times as fast as you could previously go. Like the paradigm shift for software development life cycles is got to be completely rewritten. All the books have to be thrown out, and we have to go back in. And I almost say it's waterfallish. Like the more solid your plans are,
Mhm.
the better your agentic output will be.
I
So
want to
we
talk
could
about that
spend.
a little bit later.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely. Yeah, we'll come back to it. Hit us with some more
yeah.
predictions that I
All
think
right.
we got a few more wins on the W side.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Okay. Commercial real estate, right? The collapse of commercial real estate. And then, we absolutely nailed that. I think, you called it. You said, we're going to see major collapses in major metro areas of commercial real estate. I don't know if I call it a collapse yet, but I think a lot of people are pretty concerned about the portfolios at this point. you know,
Hmm.
the people that have chosen to go back in the office are largely back in the office. And then there's a lot of people that kind of came out the other side, converted to, maybe we don't need an office.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do you feel like that's going to change? I mean, I feel like that's pretty settled science at this point.
I still feel like we as humans need community. We need our
Mhm.
tribe. We need to be able to break bread, and we don't want to be trapped in these little screens that we're in all the time. So there's going to be this new resurgence of how work is done, like caving, like like you and me hang out together, in a Zoom chat, not talking to each other, but like there has to be something of that. So I think
Yeah.
you're going to see this shift. Like in Charlotte, where I'm based, they just launched the Pearl Innovation District for healthcare. So I'm seeing huge innovation starting to happen in the Charlotte area in the healthcare space, where different entrepreneurs and hospital systems are coming together. So I think we're going to have to create these spaces where serendipity can happen, where connections will happen, just like the office settings. So I
Mhm.
hope we see more and more of that, more co-working spaces, more living up top and working underneath, kind of places. I think
Hmm.
we're going to get back to that. I was just watching a video on how everything in China that you need for life is within 15-minute walk, not
Ooh,
drive, walk.
I don't know, man.
You know what I mean? So like we
Yeah.
have to get back to like the grocery store, the hospital, your workplace has to be accessible and easy to get to in some fashion. So I think we're going to redefine living over the next 50 years for sure.
Yeah, but it's kind of like everything's a big circle, right? So you grew up in a small town, you could walk anywhere you wanted.
That's right.
You might have to drive 10, 15 minutes, but that's okay. And then I think everybody's kind of, able to do that again, because you used to have to come to the big city to go to I don't know, a factory or Coca-Cola or the big, tech company in San Francisco. And then now we don't have to do that anymore. And then so people, they talk about the exurbs, not the suburbs, but like, go live on a lake somewhere in the
That's
middle of
right.
North Carolina. So like, but you can do that now, right? And then so how cool
Yeah.
is that? Um,
I live in a busy part of town now, and on a school day afternoon, it's only 2 miles to my daughter's school to pick her
Mhm.
up, but I could probably walk there faster than drive on
Dang.
certain
Wow.
days. So anyway, it's yeah, we've got to fix some of these things, but I don't see I don't see the resurgence, especially in commercial real estate, happening. I think the commercial real estate's got to change.
I do
So
think there's your comment about co-working spaces being needed, or some kind of event space or serendipity. You can't serendipity happens a lot faster with density.
mhm,
And then how do we get to density? I don't know. I don't think it's a bunch of like Reddit subreddit
that's
forums.
right.
I
Yeah.
think it's at some point you got to go drink a beer with somebody, or eat a salad for lunch, or go
Well, I
do
think that's
something like yeah.
a much bigger topic for 2026 I want to come back to
Okay.
later after the next prediction is around trust. So we'll
Uh,
unpack that one in a big way.
All right. All right. Next one. The win. VCs are more conservative and performing more in-depth due diligence. There's a lot of capital concentration. I think a lot of the money, moved into these big name. Nobody got fired for betting on OpenAI
That's
yet,
right. That's right.
but
Yeah, yeah.
and it's getting harder and harder and harder for little companies or earlier stage growth companies to attract venture, because the bar for venture investment, for what I'm seeing, you got to get like $1 million ARR, what, 2 or 3 quarters, which is like
Yeah.
crazy. Like nobody can do that, right?
Mhm.
So I think you're seeing a lot of interesting alternate ways to start companies. It's easier and harder to start a company than it ever has been. I don't know how you feel about that, or you talked to a lot of very early stage entrepreneurs
Mhm.
in your life
Well, I
too.
mean,
What are you seeing?
even what you and I do as fractional chief technology officers, like the due diligence that I have done this year on behalf of PE firms or whatever, has been accelerated. I'm able to use the AI tools to accelerate my ability to help assess this company on whether it's viable from a code perspective, from a business model perspective. So due diligence can go faster now, but
Mhm.
be more thorough at the same time. But to your point, like, you know, there's a lot of really crazy business models out there, but I also see AI being able to bring in such unique, brand new, simple businesses.
Mhm.
Like there's such a niche for certain types of things, and there's such an easy way to just bring in a simple business with very little money and grow it into be 100, 200 grand a year. So I think you're going to see, I certainly hope you see in the Kauffman Foundation and all these other places that entrepreneurship picks up. I mean, we've seen nothing but a decline on entrepreneurship for the past 40 years or so. And I certainly hope that AI ushers, like I think I said last year, a new renaissance era and let that continue.
I think that's absolutely right. I think there's going to be, well, and I think with layoffs and stuff, I think there's a lot of really talented people that need to start a business or have something rattling around in their head where they can now go try it. And
Hmm.
some of these tools make it super easy to try, get in business and figure it out really fast whether it's going to go or not. I think that's
That's
super
right.
valuable.
Yeah. You can fail even faster now.
And remind me, I wrote a thing for due diligence last week, but
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. I'll show it to you tomorrow. I don't want to kind of open that one up yet, but I
Very
mean, it's
cool.
crazy what you can do with all that stuff.
That's right.
Um, AI agents are coming. Um, so we talked about OpenAI launching Operator as a research preview
Hmm.
early in the year, and then the new Stack AI agents became mainstream with Operator, Claude agents, and Gemini agents all launching. We absolutely nailed that one.
They are 1000% here. I mean, Claude agents, I spin them up night and day. They're probably, there's some working for me right now, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. For sure. I had to turn mine off, or else like all the bandwidth would have gone away
that's right.
for the podcast. But yeah, I mean, it's nuts. It's really a game changer for that.
Hmm.
100% agree
Absolutely.
about Claude, but we don't want to close the door on anybody else. I think it's going to be, this
They
big
they
circle
all
of.
they all have an amazing agent capability, and one thing that what I do think you're going to see this year is more LLM council type things where
What do you mean?
we where we the the older models are cheap enough that I can get answers from multiple models
Mm.
and simulate the best possible answer across multiple models.
Oh, like
Because
triage.
yeah. And
Okay.
so if you
Or
look, Karpathy released a code base of LLM Council, and you can run it. It'll hit GPT, Grok, Claude, and Gemini all with the same exact prompt. Pull back the answers, send it back to all four of them, and say which one did the best job. Rank them, and
and you're
then
using the cheap models, right?
it'll simulate the best possible combined answer along with which LLM nailed it the best. So it's a really, really powerful way to use
Mhm.
agentic frameworks to help remove the bias and help, soothe out, or what happens when OpenAI has an issue and is down. Like that's
Yeah.
going to happen in 26 sometime. One of them's going to have an outage,
Mhm.
and if you use an LLM council type model, okay, one of my three peers is down. Who cares?
We talk about this is kind of maybe a hot take, but stacking agents as a concept. I think orchestrator, and execution agent architectures is a thing.
Hmm.
Big fan. All right, I don't know. I've written several things that do that. But then where's it get ridiculous? You see these things on the internet where somebody spins up 30 windows with like the whole coding like cycle, and it's like these three are checkers and these three do pull requests, and
Hmm.
these three check the checkers that are checking the pull request
Yeah.
of the code. And then it's like that it's kind of crazy. At some point, um I think the opposite of that is going to be true as well, where you're going to have smart humans who know what the heck's going on. To you
Well,
can't fully replace humans,
but it's,
for a minute.
yeah, but like you're going to see in Linear and ClickUp and others that you just assign the work to the agent seat,
Hmm.
and the agent will do the task that you assigned it to based on that agent's persona. So I think you're going to see the AI emulating the human societies that we've built, right? Like
Yeah.
we have high trust certification to help validate that the hospital system is doing it the right way. So that's the checkers checking the checkers, and
Yeah.
so we're
Yeah.
gonna have those simulated concepts there, and hopefully it layers in the right checks and balances for us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting trend to monitor. Where's the line
Absolutely.
of yet another AI agent on top of an agent, or when does human in the loop really required? I don't
That's
know.
right.
All
That's
right, we'll
right.
put a pin in that one. We'll see you next year, and we'll talk about that one. Okay, political. David Sachs, you called it crypto and AI czar, which is interesting. You put them both together, but the techno czar for the
Yeah.
for the new administration. He's appointed as point man for AI and cryptocurrency policy, and before diving into AI, shepherded an ambitious cryptocurrency bill, providing legal clarity for digital assets, which is what we were talking about last year. We are
Hmm.
hoping that was going to happen.
Yeah.
What do you think? Good call, bad call. Interesting.
Yeah. It's this paradigm of like, how are we going to make money as knowledge workers as AI comes online more and more and more, right? Like we all need, we all can't be Visa and MasterCard. So
Right.
I don't know. I mean, the cryptocurrencies are here to stay. The smart contracts are here to stay. They have to find their evolution into the actual day-to-day places. And, I don't see it going it's not going away, but it has to get built into the day-to-day uh, cycles of the economy. Like, the Bitcoin ATM machines are just a, a fad kind of a thing.
Mhm.
But like, how do we lower the cost of transactions down so that more transactions can happen,
I think
right?
that's a big one. The cost of a transaction. When it costs you $50 to move 100 or $150, like that's a problem. And when
Hmm.
it takes 5 minutes to move $50,000,
Yeah,
and you're not sure, like, did it go? What's going on?
that's right. Yeah.
It's nerve wracking, right?
And
Um,
you don't need to do that. And you see these newer financial places coming online that you see the scams happening on, with all the third party financial people sitting on top of a banking infrastructure,
mhm.
but they're helping to facilitate the money transfers instantly, right? The
Right.
Venmos, the PayPals, the Wise, um, they're removing the ambiguity of of a wire transfer and ACH, but at the same time have super high fees. So I think something's got to change there.
Yeah.
And I think crypto is definitely the way to do it. That public ledger concept, people need to understand how that works and embrace it, and know that we can help reshape society to something better, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's all the same fintech problems you've always had. L2, L3.
Hmm.
Somebody's got to vouch for the transaction and the
That's
float
right.
and take a hit when
That's
things
right.
go sideways. So,
Hmm.
okay, yeah. So we nailed that one. Crypto is still bullish, and then it feels like more clarity in the market is going to encourage more, you know, more businesses to stick their neck out and be more innovative.
That's
Okay,
right.
very cool. And that was the next one. Crypto regulatory clarity under Trump. I think we just talked about that, but definitely got more clarity on the rules. It's still kind of weird being in the U.S., being in the crypto space, but it's less so than it was before. So,
That's right.
and then my favorite, the rise of the podcasts, and you were talking about niche content, super niche content. How do you still? I mean, we nailed that one. It's still ongoing. How do you
Hmm.
feel about that? Are you gonna? I mean, you kind of. Well, how do you
I
feel
mean,
about podcasts?
I already have a few podcasts under my belt, but you
Yeah.
inspired me to launch this one over the summer. So AI with Bry,
Mhm.
check that one out. Like the niches are here. Like the strong players that like talking about a certain niche, they just need a few hundred good listeners to help curate, the job and the inspiration that you need. Like I don't have to go out and help millions and millions of people like OpenAI is doing, or billions, right? Like I just hope I help 100 CEOs learn how to embrace AI, figure out their AI strategy, dive in. And so I'm still very, very strong on podcasts and jumping off the cliff. And I just watched a video earlier today, something about, go out and do more things that embarrass you, right? Like get out there, get
Yeah.
over this fear of being
Yeah.
embarrassed,
Yeah.
right? Like, and a podcast is a great way to do that. Like we're going to flub one or two things here on this podcast, but I
Yeah.
don't even know if people are going to notice it, right? You
Yeah.
and I might notice it, but for the most part, like get out there and do something, chase the life that you want. And I think a podcast is a great way to help put a stake in the ground and stabilize around, something that you're passionate about. And we're
Yeah.
all passionate about something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good points. I was just thinking through, if you're super niche, you got the right couple hundred people watching you religiously. Um, what's that worth, right? And then
Yeah.
how do you determine value? You know, top of funnel brand is a thing you have to do. Super
Hmm.
important.
That's right.
Um, how do you measure that? And then like I had a piece of hardware that I've been pushing. Like it's a little recording device. I won't name the
Yeah.
name. But so I was going to give it to one of my clients, CEOs, who's a portco of probably one of the largest two or three private equity companies on the planet in Boston, right?
Hmm.
And it's like, what is that worth for me to make that introduction and say, oh, you have to get this?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's worth a lot, but it's not gonna. They were yelling at me because, hey, you're not. I had a referral agreement, and they're like, hey, you're not promoting us because you didn't like post 15% off Black Friday.
Yeah.
Like guys, you don't get it. Like what I just did for you is way more effective. It's probably going to
Yeah.
end up with a lot more business for you in a lot more important rooms than you know some Instagram model, saying, "Hey, this is a cool thing. You got to get it," or TikTok, or I don't
Yeah.
know what. Um,
I think it's that concept. You have to follow your passion on that one and support the products that you really love. And naturally, I hope that the brand deals fall out of it and things like that. But it's also making sure you've got your Patreon and your buy me a cup of coffee link set up, or whatever that is too, because I I still believe 80% of the planet's good and decent people and wants the
they are.
best for us. So,
They are. Yeah.
so I think it's that concept of, you just don't know. I think a podcast is a great way to plant seeds of serendipity, to stand by your convictions and drive stuff forward. So, but yeah, very bullish. Like the age of personalized content is upon us with AI. And
Ooh.
so, a podcast is a stepping stone towards even more personalized content.
I wish I had that screenshot. It happened to me this morning when I was watching your your LinkedIn, but just
Okay.
below it there was a LinkedIn ad, and it said, it was like a little cartoon with a bubble. I
Hmm.
don't know, maybe you saw this one, but I don't remember what it was for. Which my dad will laugh, um, but it said, "Hey, Tech CXO, blah 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 blah, get you some blah blah blah," and then
Hmm.
I was like, wait, scroll, and then it was an ad. It was promoted. It was definitely an ad that was inserted for
Okay.
me with that label. Like I work for that company. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that is pretty slick. But I mean, that's where
And
we're headed.
some of the best newsletter programs out there are already doing that, whether it's 6 a.m. City or whatever the local one is in your city, but like they're keeping track. Like Medium, I think Medium does this the best. Any links I click on in my Medium newsletter, the next newsletter is going to have more links like that. Like I clicked on this Python thing here or this, workout thing there. I get more articles geared towards me in my Medium feed because it knows which articles I clicked, which ones I read. So this hyper personalization that AI and tracking is going to bring,
Mhm.
super, super amazing because we're going to go down the rabbit hole even further, but scary at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. Sid Mukherjee is a guy. He has Silicon Road Ventures. So he was writing about this. His big e-commerce, evolution of e-commerce. He was saying he thinks that there's going to be a time pretty soon that him and his portcos are building, where you're going to, every website you go to, every e-commerce experience is going to be only completely unique to you as a buyer.
Yeah,
Yeah. I can't wait. I don't know what that token utilization cost is going to be for something like that, but it's going to be
that's right.
glorious.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, all right. So we did pretty good on that one. Let's go to the yellow lights. Okay, so partially correct. All right.
I like to say we got more wins than yellows and reds,
Oh
but hit
yeah,
us with the yellows.
yeah, yellows, and these are half right. Okay, so rising tide lifts all boats, and then we're going to see a VC rebound. Uh, didn't really see a VC rebound like we had hoped. I don't know if that's interest rate driven or everybody's kind of risk off right now, going for the big companies, the big names.
Hmm.
Um,
I
but
think we did this last year in the age of the beginning of the new Trump presidency too. Like
mhm.
that's a wild card for sure. Combined with AI is changing everything. So like
Oh my god,
where do I save the cash and deploy it later? Do I put more micro bets out there? I don't know. Or I think we saw a lot of people just investing in second rounds
Mhm.
instead of more firsts.
SPV
Right.
for Anthropic.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a scary time to be an investor because like I was helping one client. I want to be a little bit vague about who they are, but with a certain topic, and then it was going to be a build or buy, and then,
Okay.
we didn't think build. We're going to go help them research. And it's one of these AI adoption things where they said, hey, if we could do blah blah blah, that'd be really cool, but we don't know how to do it. Okay, we'll go shopping, go look for a couple solutions for them. Found a couple, 3, 4, 5 solutions. 2 or 3 actually answered the phone. SaaS companies that were early stage, that
Yeah.
probably Series A ish kind of range. Kind of sort of had early, couple year old AI ML visual model kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
then nothing was quite right, and we a couple of us looked at each other and said, we could probably write this pretty quick with
Hmm.
with one of these frontier models. Um, did did it, and then got 80% of the solution that was appropriate for this client, and said, hey, what for a quarter of the cost of 1 year of these other folks, that which is multi six figures. Um, would you like this custom software that does exactly what you want? And then, so if you think about it, they said, yeah. And then on a Tuesday morning, we were able to recreate most of it.
Yeah.
And then, so all these SaaS companies are like, how do you compete with that? Right. Their whole business model is challenged now, where just because you have software doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It's, I think a lot of investors are looking at that going, holy crap, like, what do we invest in? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
It's super, super interesting. I wish I had the inner mindset, but I think I don't know how to add more to what you just said. It's really, it's spot on. Like everybody's doing their unique thing. They're trying to figure out the AI stuff as much as they can too. So
I think where this is going is a combination of what you're calling niches. Like lots of tiny little companies that are low six figures ever, right? And nice little business for a couple people. And then what's wrong with that? And they might need a little capital, a little bit of help on the services side to get going. And maybe that's the way we start companies now. Maybe it's not, you don't need $500,000 to go in 6 months or a year to go build software, right? Before you even know.
You definitely don't.
Yeah. You could be up and running in a couple weeks, and then, the distribution and it's.
But it comes back to the plans. Like if you don't have a really well thought out business model, and you don't, like, I've been working with a founder who's got a very detailed business plan, and she started vibe coding it. And she's realizing, oh, I didn't have this built. I thought I had everything, all the I's dotted and T's crossed, and I don't. But at the same time, trying to land a wait list and everything else. So much to do as a business owner. But the strategic planning, that's where the money should be going right now, not into the development side.
Amen. All right. Next one that was kind of sort of yellow, VC portfolio reorg and or capitulation. I don't think we've seen capitulation this year. Yeah, everything's kind of static and everybody's kind of holding their breath still from my seat.
Yeah, I would agree. I think everybody is buckled down and waiting to see how some of these chips fall. And I think that we're all going through this learning curve of AI as well. Like we've all got to learn it, see how we want to use it, embrace it. So I have to just go back and look at other paradigm shifts that happened, the internet coming out. I mean, there's clearly going to be some major winners and some major losers, but we're trying to avoid some of those things by being a little conservative right now.
Yeah, for sure. Trust and safety frameworks for AI specifically. A little early, right? I think EU got out in front and then got a little backlash from the business community for being a little bit too strict. And then I guess the US, the federal government got out in front and said, hey, no state regulations allowed. So seems like everybody thought about it for a minute and understands that it's important, but we didn't get anything with like super teeth yet. There's no AI insurance yet that I know of that you can get, kind of like cyber. What are you seeing on that? Do you think anything is going to move this year?
I think somebody has to be bold enough to put out the official AI policy and hope they've got the right numbers on it. But I guess I'm seeing people doubling down on their cyber insurance and having the AI pieces included or excluded from their cyber side of things. It's really the errors and omissions insurance. And it's a better understanding around, Kevin Carlson and I talk about this all the time around, and as an artist, what rights, a lot of this stuff is copyrighted, and then the code that it generates is generating it from open source codes. And, so it's just a weird blending of laws and stuff that we've got to sort through and figure out. There's the big lawsuit over the books and the authors that happened a few months back, played out. And I think we're going to see more of that in 26.
Who owns stuff? I think that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
More, and then I think there's probably something in the healthcare space where you see people, chatting with their AI, whatever that means, about relationships or, who's liable when the AI is like, oh yeah, go start your whatever business that's completely insane. Yeah, good. good call. Go for it. And
That's
then
right.
you lose your shirt. Yeah, it's going to be, or therapist, family therapist, or I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I've enjoyed putting these predictions last year together as our first time. So speed through quickly the negative ones for us, Todd, so we can get to our 2026
All right, we
predictions.
only had two.
We don't
We
need
only,
to.
and that was it.
Good.
Okay, so patents becoming meaningless. We kind of missed that one.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know. I still agree with that one. I'm going to still stand on that one. I still wouldn't do another patent if I did another startup, unless I was in some kind of healthcare, bio or pharma, and then maybe some kind of fundamental, patent on AI. Like if you're going off and
It goes
doing
back to what you just said, ownership. Who's going to
right.
own stuff, and why do I put these secrets out there knowing the AI can reverse engineer it? So yeah, I mean, you're going to want to play offense and defense and do it, but I agree with that prediction still. It just maybe might be a year or two away.
All right, the last one, LLM memory improvements. You called 10x improvement. We didn't quite get to 10x, but we did get bigger.
Yes.
I think it's challenging, right, with the current architectures. I don't know. I think there's got to be I think we're going to get bigger contexts. It's going to pay to play, and it's going to be expensive. Yeah, I think it's a limit. I think something's got to change, and we're going to have some kind of fundamental
We think
new
that,
approach.
yeah, we think that the MCP was going to be our savior, but we didn't realize when we connected 27 MCPs, it chews up the context window before you even start
Yeah.
typing.
Yeah.
So I think we're level setting that the MCP aspects of it, and I do think RAG storage is still a strong option, but yeah, I think that we have seen a significant increase in the power of GPT-5 and the newer Opus and things like that. So it's hard to know how many tokens we really need, but I think it's that the key difference between humans and the LLM still is that you and I can think on the fly and recalculate on the fly way quicker than an LLM. LLM's always going to take 15, 20 seconds to do its thinking, and then it has to reset the context. And so until the context windows get large enough and it can recalculate its prompt on the fly as it's listening to new input, like you and I can do as a human, it's got a ways to go, and I'm not worried about them taking over.
Yeah, I'm with you
So,
in that. That efficient compute. You seen that chart of the efficient compute horizon, where you go out and you throw more processors at it, and it only gets
That's
a little
right.
better, a little better, a little better, but it never gets beyond this one logarithmic boundary. Yeah, I think we're there. I think we're seeing. Hey, we know what it can do. Focus things pretty well. Can't do everything. It's like the old thing I used to tell people when I drop into a chaotic turnaround. We could do anything, but we can't do everything, right? And that's kind of where we are, right? It's an efficient, little co-processor, and you can do a lot of really good damage. That's it. I think we did pretty good last year. What are you looking at for 2026, or what's on your mind for next year?
I think I don't have a whole bunch, but I want to throw out 5 or 6, and then we can bat those around a little bit. And I'm sure you've got a pretty strong list too. So
yeah,
on the AI front, I mean, I think the agentic workflows, some of the stuff we've talked about, are going to become the default inside of companies. Like whether they realize it or not, either through a tooling or whatnot. But I think that's going to be, we're going to see fewer chatbots and more background automations and agentic workflows happening.
All right. Are people going to build them? Or are they going to buy them?
I think it's going to be both. I think you're going to be met with, ClickUp rolled out an amazing agentic framework. Like these companies are trying to embed them in, and then there's people like me that are on this bleeding edge, and we're building them just as fast as ClickUp is. So it's going to be that both avenues are going to be successful.
Your agent goes here on top of somebody else's framework.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I think people are going to buy them initially, and then once they figure out, oh, we're paying a lot of money for these, and there's going to be this new function, kind of like old school Fortune 500 IT applications development, internal IT apps,
Yeah.
That's going to come back around for companies of all sizes, where you have one or two people that are going to nerd out and make those kind of agents for you. I think that's the way to go. What was your second one? You had another one?
On the business side, like, I'm already seeing some companies start shifting, but the SaaS pricing model's got to compress hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you're going to see some royal shifts in either consumption usage or drastic cuts to SaaS pricing as, agentic rolls out. So I'm very concerned about the SaaS market.
Well, this is a hard one because SaaS is dead. Long live SaaS, right?
Yeah.
And SaaS, you gotta have a place to put everything. That's not going to go away, right? And then as a scoreboard or a common denominator repository that's useful. And then there's business logic, right, on top of. But if you have to implement, I don't know, Salesforce or NetSuite or something, and then you have to pay a bunch of people a bunch of money to customize it, like, let's just build it, for exactly our company, and then we don't have to shoehorn anything. I think
right.
that's going to happen. I can't tell you how many times I go into companies and then we look at their marketing motion, or because that seems to be a fertile ground for practical AI, and then you kind of go, maybe we don't need a CRM, like a formal CRM, but you need a lot of agents to do the same kinds of things, but they can be highly customized.
That's right.
So
That's right.
so the way you get to SaaS is going to change. And is it going to be the God box up in the cloud? I don't think that's true anymore. I think it's got to be way more flexible than that.
That's right. And I think it's going to shift down to our phones. I don't know if it'll happen in 26, but that's the next wave that's going to come too, for sure. So,
what do you mean by
that? I think that, we've got this GPU model of LLMing right now that's got to shift and change. I think some of the research that I've been seeing and reading is that there are new frameworks that are coming out that are going to push a GPT 5.2 type model to be able to be run on a phone contained.
Okay.
You can't do that right now. Can't say that's a 26 prediction, but I think that's where we're heading as a trajectory, is that I need to move these models into my smart glasses. I need to move them inside the robot. I need to move them inside my smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got to be able to run a very powerful model on a small CPU. And there's going to be ways to accomplish that.
Yeah, I mean, well, in 2019, I can remember writing stuff for the Google glasses. We did Chickenator Vision for Chick-fil-A, where we identified that's French fries, that's milkshake or whatever, and then, but that was TensorFlow, right? And then you had very specific, it's pretty hard, but you could do it, and then you load it right onto the glasses, and then it could run. Right. And that was back then, so I know we can do more better now. I think I think that's a natural evolution. Ambient compute. It's going to be a thing that tags right along with that. I think there's going to be, like, I'm starting to record everything. I'm not, well, I guess we're recording this, but like, I don't have my normal recording device. When anybody says, "Hey, I got an idea," I go, "Okay, let me record this."
That's right.
But I mean, we're going to start recording everything all the time for purposes of transcription.
Meta just bought Limitless, right? Mm-hmm. That Limitless was the pendant you wore, and it records everything every moment. Mm-hmm. And so we're moving. What's that Robin Williams movie? Like, I don't know whether it's Altered Carbon or that one photographer Robin Williams movie where your whole life's recorded onto the chip. So
Truman Show,
the highlight reel. Yeah, Truman Show, exactly.
No, so. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
I think two more. One on people and one on society, and then I'll let you hit us with yours.
Yeah.
I think. You and I are lucky that we've grown up in this programming world, and that's going to shift. Like, I think programming as a career path has to shift big time. But I think the key thing is those that are directing AI are going to outperform those who are just using it. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a subtle but very distinct difference between knowing that certain things are biased and this is how I get what I want versus I don't know, I'm stuck, here's my problem, help me, that kind of thing. So I think you're going to see this builders versus coordinators, this directors of AI versus users of AI, and that's going to create this, again, a dichotomy. But like the most exciting one, I mentioned it earlier, that I think we have got to figure out, and it goes back to everything that's raising up with AI, is is ownership and all those things is trust verification.
Okay.
I think, I'm using AI to create videos. We're using AI to help us with this podcast, all these things. Like AI is going to permeate every aspect of society. And how do I know that's really Todd sitting there?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So like there's going to be this whole new business empire that's created out of trust verification. Was this real? Was this a human? That is a core product category that's going to bloom in 2026.
Gosh, half of Reddit is like, hey, is this AI or not? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
everybody's like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. Look at that toe. And,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that fish looks weird.
I just showed my team earlier, Will Smith eating spaghetti 1 year ago versus Will Smith eating, that's the meme going around. You can't tell if that's the real Will Smith eating spaghetti or not at this point with video generated AI. It is
Wow.
that good. So,
Well, and at some point, it doesn't matter. And, if we're
right.
going to blur who owns what and what's real, like what a confusing universe. But maybe it's
Yeah,
okay. Like,
that's
hey,
right.
we get Will Smith eating
Well,
spaghetti. Or like,
Elon's theory is we're
yeah,
in the Matrix anyway. So,
I don't know. Gosh, I'm going to have to, that'll be a New Year's Eve topic for late
yes.
in the evening. Jeez.
All right, hit us
Okay.
with yours. Those are my couple quick predictions.
All right. So I want to shout out manufacturing.
Oh
Thank
yes,
you.
that's
This
right.
is your little Russian stacking dolls thing that you sent, and I got the puzzle piece out. So I gotta push that.
Woo!
But like your wife, so it's funny. That came about the same time. So I don't know if you knew this. My dad's a plastics engineer originally, so he
Okay.
came up. He's one of the first guys to go to college for that as a chemical engineer. Worked for Rubbermaid for first part of his career. So I told him about that, and he got all excited. And then
Yeah.
so went to our favorite Claude, business analytics prompts that I have laying around. And then we're like, hey, let's do a business model for on-demand 3D printing. Kind of your wife has a company doing that. I think that's the future. I think that's
Yeah.
exciting. How do we get manufacturing? China's great. China's done really good at cheap stuff, but it always bugged me that it's like, why do we have to make it there, put it on a boat, spend all this gas to get over here so we could buy it for cheap? Like that doesn't make any sense.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
so maybe this is the thing that kind of helps us to produce local, consume local, be able to buy our sheets local. Like my hometown's a big textile town historically.
Yeah.
It's hard to go buy sheets. You got to go buy them on Amazon. I don't know what they feel like. Maybe they're itchy, maybe they're not. I don't want to live in that world.
Yeah.
I want to be able to figure out how to go buy stuff locally from the place down the street.
Well, it's the beginning of the future of manufacturing. Like my favorite science fiction thing is Van Neumann probes, where they're self-replicating probes that we send it out. So they've got the 3D printers and everything built in them that they can self-replicate when they gather enough raw material, right? But this is the beginning of it, right? Like anything that's plastic oriented right now, my wife saw this coming and built this little business, Charlotte 3D Printing. So it's charlotte3dprinting.com and threw up the website, threw up a couple of quick blog posts, and boom, comes up first for Charlotte 3D printing as a keyword.
Yeah.
And we're getting leads, and
Yeah.
it's a whole bunch of unique manufacturing things. People with antique cars that can't find parts.
That's
People
exactly what we're gonna do with my dad.
Yeah.
He's an antique car guy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons models that are unique.
Yeah.
And I crafted this cool little dragon, and I want it printed myself. And
Yeah.
she had somebody print a school science project. I built this in AutoCAD, and I just want to print it for my teacher. So all these unique on-demand, and again, unleashing this creativity of society that's there in such a big way. So I think everything has to shift to local. We've got to grow our food locally. We've got to manufacture locally. Like everybody needs to have a little 3D printing hub and whatnot. So I think that you're going to see that continue to boom.
Yeah.
And that's something that AI can't do right now, right? Like
Yeah. Well,
AI
it can
can't
help.
print things, but AI helps for sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you need that creativity. And then like
yeah.
the Fourth Turning book, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but like my kids are a little older than your kids, but that generation that's just now coming of age.
Yeah.
And in high school, they're supposed to be the artists, the whole grand scheme of things. So I think we're gonna see a lot of creativity
My
over the
my
next
kids are
5, 10 years.
younger, and I see them all the one of them in particular likes to just hang out with the Echo device and just have conversations. And I have a very young child
Yeah.
right now, and I was holding her just last night, I think, thinking about that same exact thing. Is like she's going to grow up in the age of AI angels or Jiminy Crickets or whatever you have on your shoulder that's guiding you through life. Like,
Mhm.
is this really what you want? Are you going to take that drink, or are you going to smoke that cigarette? Like, the agent is going to be there guiding you and helping you and or reporting back to the parents. So,
Everything's recorded.
so
Your dad and mom will
yeah,
watch it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
synopsis
yeah,
will be provided.
but
Uh,
manufacturing is going to blow up. Like you're going to see again personalized
yeah.
manufacturing.
Yeah, and coming back to the onshore, I think is a big part of
Hmm.
that as well.
Yeah,
Local, buy local, grow
yeah.
local. One thing I want to get out there that changed my life this year. So I went really deep on the Anthropic ecosystem, trying to help the sales and marketing non-technical parts of the C-suite.
Hmm.
Wound up with MCP, and that was a game changer. And then I kept going, and I found Claude Code.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and I'm a coder. I've always been a coder. I haven't coded in a while, and a year ago I would tell clients I can code. You should not pay me to code. That's too expensive. Um, and then so right around Father's Day, I started saying yes to these little projects because a lot of people say, "Hey, I've got this idea." Um, and then just wanted to see what it would do. Um, and then haven't found the bottom of it yet.
Hmm.
Which surprised me. I didn't think that's where I was going to go. I thought I was going to just be able to tell people, well, it's okay, but this it's going to vibe code you crap.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of complex thoughts here. So I'm basically shipping. I've got this process where I'll record people, and it goes back to your planning, right? I think planning is super critical. So I'll record people on conversations, take the transcript, put it into my planning models. So I've got a couple of really nice prompts that I've added to, refine those where I'm going to generate a business plan with a technical plan at the same time. So you got that product management roadmap generated simultaneously with the business needs. So you're going to build only the things that you need for MVP. And then I have a couple things in there, like I want to know if there's competition. I want to know what the pricing is. Is there a business here? Are you wasting your time? And then what's the minimum we got to code to get it in the market? And then my thesis was, okay, we can launch a lot of companies here if I can remove that milestone of you need software to sell in 10 days or less, 10 hours or less. Sometimes it's 2 hours to
Hmm.
get the stuff launched with a domain name in AI in AWS.
Hmm.
And it's not vibe coded, right? You can't just say, hey, I want a thing, right? And then let
Yeah.
it guess. Like that's not what we're talking about. I have very strong preferences as a CTO with decades of experience on how I want stuff built. I've got all that stuff kind of engineered in. I can hit a button and then it goes fast in that lane, right?
Yeah.
But think what that does to businesses, right? So it gets you like if I could say, hey, before New Year's, which is what, 2 days,
Hmm.
I can have you in business and you can be selling, but you got to prove to me you can sell this stuff. And then next quarter we'll do phase 2 and then maybe phase 3. And then
Absolutely.
what does that do for the world? And then so I think just kind of extrapolating that out, how we start businesses changes,
Hmm.
what we invest in changes. A lot of ideas that were marginal now become doable, and with not very much effort. It's a fast food era of software.
You need to have me back. We need to unpack that topic for an entire hour. I mean,
All
you're
right.
spot on. I mean, that
Yeah.
is exactly right because the I've I've been fortunate to be an advisor and a judge at some of these weekend hackathons.
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff I saw 2 or 3 years ago versus what I see this past year coming out is just mind blowing. What they can accomplish in 48 hours,
Mm-hmm.
full website built out, pricing models done, sign up,
I can do that.
onboarding.
Well, that's in
Yeah,
two
I mean,
hours.
just
2 hours. Yeah.
but think from me and you meeting as strangers to creating the brainstorming session to whiteboarding it to bringing it full to life in 48 hours. Like they're walking away with a viable business that has already generated money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
already reached out to my LinkedIn network and generated 5 grand in sales in 48 hours of a hackathon. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And you and I know we can do that all in 2 hours. Once we have the framework set up, like I proved it with my daughter just the other day. We built an app and launched it together in less than 45 minutes.
And then, so like what happens, right? So how do we make money? How do we impact the
Yeah.
world positively, right?
Mhm.
And then I want to start a bunch of companies, right? And then, or I want to help a lot of people start a lot of companies. And it's no
That's right.
longer about the investing model used to be go put 50 grand on a couple of juniors at Georgia Tech. They're really smart and they're going to code something really amazing.
Yeah.
That's stupid, right? Now it's about like go find somebody that's mid-career that's got this burning desire itch to go, solve a problem, just needs a little bit of software, knows a lot of people or, a fair amount of people, and is not the technical founder. It's more about distribution, sales, and marketing. Right.
Yeah.
And then, are you just a decent, we're back to business founders.
Yeah.
And then, boy, that's like completely upside down from where we have been. Right.
Where's your MBA? That's right.
Well, and then I don't want a fresh out MBA, right? I want
Yeah.
somebody who's kind of got a lot of friends that are going to buy this thing because they've been living the pain and, oh my God, yeah, I'm so glad somebody fixed that for me. And then we don't have to have, $1 billion valuation.
That's right.
We can be successful at 5 million or 2 million or 1 million.
Mhm.
Anyway, I don't know. So for me, that's like the big game changer. And then that works at scale. And so we're using that same process. And PE companies that are decades old that have a mess, right? And we're going to PE companies and saying, hey, some of these problems that were intractable, where you have, all these old ancient technologies that nobody remembers how to operate and everybody's scared to breathe on it. We now have the ability to go grind through a bunch of stuff in a hurry, make a plan, execute the plan, and then turn this thing around. Whereas before it might've been untenable, to bring it forward.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, let's pivot. Let's pivot into a lightning round then. I've got 2 or 3. I know you've got a few.
Go for it.
So, throw one out and I'll react to it for 2 seconds and you
Go ahead.
can, and then we'll switch.
Your turn. Go ahead. What do you got?
Is college still worth it?
Oh, geez. I don't think so. I've got one kid that's 21 in college, and I've got one that's 23. And I told him to go to tech school to be a mechanic, or we're still figuring that one out. But
yeah,
one wants to be an artist, one wants to be a mechanic. He's not learning what he needs to learn in college.
I like what you just said before I asked you the question. It has to be paired with execution. College is probably still worth it if it's paired with execution. Okay,
certain things you need college. Is it worth it for an English degree for $120,000?
Yeah,
not a chance. World models. We talked about AR, VR last year. You see all these folks coming out of Meta and all the big thinkers, abandoning LLM is not the cool thing anymore. What do you think? Is world models going to be the way we get to AGI? Is it going to be incremental? What's going to open up?
Gosh,
or is that going to be like a nothing burger?
You stole my next question, AGI by 2027. So let's answer that together, I guess. Like, I mean, we're in.
I think it's going to be a thing.
Yeah,
it's not going to be the thing.
Good. It's right. Exactly. That's exactly right. Because like there's still in a capitalistic society, there's still going to be competition. There's still going to be competing on that front. But somebody is going to break through this barrier and the robots are coming. So
2026 is this year healthcare gets disrupted finally.
Gosh, that's a tough one. I am working with so many healthcare companies that are doing their darndest to make sure it happens. I definitely think, we're past the light bulb stage, as I mentioned way early, that there's some big changes coming where we're not just putting a scribe in place. But at the same time, the incumbents in the institutions that we've built up over the past 100 years are going to be extremely hard to break and change and get to the heart of it. So I'm not sure.
I look at these monster mega companies and they just can't get out of their own way. And they don't, they're just hemorrhaging millions of dollars in lost revenue opportunities. And then they won't spend $50,000 or $100,000 to to explore a couple of quick solutions. Like it's just
That's right.
mind-boggling.
I mean, I think the story this year in 26 isn't intelligence related. I think it's like alignment. Technology last 2 years has moved faster than institutions, companies, and our people, and we've got to catch up now.
I think that's the theme for 2026, absorption, right? Where the tech is moving so fast, and it's going to get out over our skis a little bit, and then everybody's got to kind of catch up.
Yep.
Yep. Well, I think we're at time. So, any last topics you want to throw out there before we hang up on 2025?
We both have a list of another 15 or so. So maybe we do
we need another podcast,
Valentine's Day special or something.
All right, let's do it
Yeah,
next
it's
time. Yeah, on your show. We'll do it on your show next time. How about
Perfect.
that?
I'll line it up.
All right. What's your podcast?
Check out aiwithbry.com. You can learn all about AI. We talk about learning, leveraging, and leading with AI. So very similar veins, but we're both here, Todd, to help change the companies and set them on the right trajectory with AI in a big way. So appreciate you having me on the show again.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian. It's always fun. Bye for now.